You can grow organically, but you're not a tech company that's going to have, double, triple digit growth year over year. It's going to be tough to do and sustain that. So if you really are committed to the path of growth, I do think you have to have an appetite for risk, and you have to start to really think about, where do you see the company in 5 years, not just what am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to serve this need for this client? But kind of remove yourself from the day to day of the business and look kind of from the eagle eye view, looking down into it and say, okay, where do we have holes? What you need, how you're going to get there, and then who you really also want to surround yourself with.
Let's talk about why probably everybody's listening into the show of in 2 years, you've had massive growth. So you've 8xed in 2 years. So looking back, what's been a couple of the things that have helped you do that? So other people can be like, all right, how can I model that?
Yeah. Well, I think I have two hats that I wear. I have my agency owner hat, and then I have kind of my, investor hat. And, the agency owner hat is, how do we really make our services the best? How do we, be the best for our clients? How do we show up for our employees? And then there's the investor side, which is recognizing the landscape we're in, which is, a very fragmented space, right? I mean, a lot of agencies out there, and there's a lot of really good agencies and a lot of really bad agencies. But I think the opportunity that I saw, a couple of years ago was mergers and acquisitions. And I know you talk about this a lot on the pod, is that, there is an opportunity to merge and acquire companies that, not only have a great cultural fit, but help kind of plug some fulfillment gaps that you have in your company. And so that's what we did. So 2022, we did our first Keystone acquisition that was a complementary, social media agency. So it was really a horizontal integration, easy to tuck in. And we realized there was something there. Not only was it great to build the management team, it's a great way to get, new talent in the door. It's a way to bring in new customers, new industries, new capabilities. And so that's something we built on. So we've done 3 acquisitions just over the last couple of years. So that's been a huge contributor to our growth. And I think, again, something for, your listeners to really think about, especially this year, as, agencies are looking at strategic ways to partner up.
What, before we get into kind of how you found these agencies to buy and maybe like high level structural plan, I want to talk about a lot of people want to grow, but they don't want to, like, it's kind of like everyone wants to be the king, but they're not willing to do the lion shit in order to be the king of the jungle. Yep. Or is it king of the jungle? I can't think of it, but I think everybody gets the point. So what was in your head like 2 years ago when you were at the 2 million mark? Because a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm happy at the 2 million mark. They say they want to grow, but then to have an 8x, I think there's a point in the agency where you're probably working 100 hours a week. You're maxed out. And you think if you add any more, you're going to completely, your head's going to blow up. So walk us through when you decided to really kind of scale the agency. Mm-hmm. Where were you in the headspace, and then what really made you guys commit?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say that, if you look at the agency space, organic growth is always, let's say 10% as kind of like a good year. I mean, that's just agency wide. I think what we've seen is that you can grow organically, but you're not a tech company that's going to have, double, triple digit growth year over year. It's going to be tough to do and sustain that. So if you really are committed to the path of growth, I do think you have to have an appetite for risk, and you have to start to really think about, where do you see the company in 5 years, not just what am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to serve this need for this client? But kind of remove yourself from the day to day of the business and look kind of from the eagle eye view, looking down into it and say, okay, where do we have holes? How are we going to get to that next inflection point? And for me, it was like, there's so many agencies out there that I've had great conversations with throughout the years, whether we're sending them business and it's a good referral partnership or we've met at a conference. And so I started to just kind of initiate those conversations again, and they led to really conversations that I didn't even think were going to happen, of like, hey, you know what, let's merge this thing. Let's, we're actually thinking about taking some chips off the table and, growing with a growth minded entrepreneur like yourself. Let's talk about what that looks like. And so I think it's also about identifying, what you're looking for, in an agency. If you're going to take that route to really go the growth route, it is going to take, just really looking at what you need, how you're going to get there, and then who you really also want to surround yourself with. And I think one of the things you talk about all the time is about removing yourself from the stuff that just doesn't serve you or the company. And so I've done a lot of that. I drew the circle. I looked at, what do I need to kind of remove out of my day and help bring in folks that they can do it much better than I can. And so M&A played a role in that as well.
I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.